You got a commercial solar project coming up. You got a range of panels. Which one are you going to choose? Hello, spreadsheets, and panel degradation. Hi, Veli here from Greenwood. Today we're looking at panel degradation and really importantly, what does a panel produce over its lifetime? And we're looking at it from a spreadsheet perspective. So if you like these videos, hit the subscription button. Let's get stuck into it. Now, total panel efficiency is measured under standard test conditions. And this is based on a cell temperature of 25 degrees C and a solar irradiance of 1,000 watts per metre squared and an air mass of 1.5. That's how they do the test. And the efficiency of a panel is calculated by the maximum power rating at the STC divided by the total panel area in metres. That's quite simple. Now, there are various measures to determine the best panel for you that include obviously the total production of the panel over its design lifetime, and this relates to the initial output degradation of the panel after the first year, and obviously the total degradation of the panel over the design lifetime. And I'm looking at 25 years in this particular presentation. Now, in this presentation, we're going to look at a range of panels and we're going to look at their temperature coefficients, and we're going to put all this information into a spreadsheet. And based on certain system sizes, we're going to compare a range of panels and look at their outputs over time. So here we have a table with a range of cells and their various attributes. So to calculate the area of a panel, it's a simple calculation, length times width. Now, watts per metre is panel wattage divided by the area, and the efficiency is watts per metre squared divided by 1,000. Now, with all solar panels, there is degradation in output, and there's a certain percentage reduction in output in the first year, usually between 2 and 3% in most cases. Then every year after that, there's a smaller consistent reduction, usually from 0.2% to 0.6%, and depending on the quality of the panel. So when looking at solar panel design, many factors have to be looked at based around the economic reality of the proposal you are presenting to the customer. So the price per watt of the panels you are considering, the overall efficiency, and this is really important if space is at a premium, the actual output over the lifetime of the panel, and we're going to look at 25 years, and this relates to the degradation. As this is a spreadsheet, we need to set it up. So the first thing is to set a system price per watt, excluding GST. Then the ability to select a panel from your data set. Now you also need to put in how many panels, obviously, for the particular project in mind. Now you can see some formula breakdowns and inputs. System price per watt in dollars is 0.9, so a little under $1 a watt. Select panel. This uses data validation to access a list of panels in your data set. Panel model. Now here I've used an XLOOKUP, but a VLOOKUP can also be used. Panel wattage references the model selected. Number of panels is user input. Total kilowatts is a simple calculation, of course, as is total system price. So in this case, we're going to look at the system price per watt, and I will just highlight here. And you can see the system price per watt, in this case we've put in 90 cents. So the panel selected is a Trima and the panel model is a Pardo, and that occurs because we've got an XLOOKUP calculation here. So effectively the XLOOKUP looks at what's in D3 and then looks at what is in I11 to I49. We've only filtered 21. and then it extracts the corresponding model number from the column J11 to J49. To completely determine the best panel, you need some more information basically. You have to look at the average output per kilowatt hours installed. Now this is a user input with assumptions made concerning pitch, orientation, location. So average output per day in kilowatt hours. It's a simple calculation referencing total kilowatt hours and average output per kilowatt installed. Now output after 1 year, no panel degradation, the average output per kilowatt installed times 365 days of the year. We're not including or factoring in a leap year. So we have to look at the system price, and in this case it is derived from, total system price is derived from D2, right, times 1,000 times D7, $360,000, because we're talking about a 400 kilowatt system at 90 cents per kilowatt hour. Now the next metric is the average output per kilowatt installed, and that's a user input. We've given that a figure of 3.6. Then we look at the average output per day. Now this is derived obviously from the figure in D7, the 400 kilowatts, times the average output per kilowatt installed, 3.6. That gives you 1,440 kilowatt hours a day on average being produced by the system. The output after 1 year in kilowatt hours, no panel degradation, that is derived from the figure of the average output per day times 365. Now this assumes no panel degradation, but we need this for future calculations. Now you need to set some other parameters here. Let's look at the price of electricity in the first year, and that's a user input. And the price of electricity exported fixed. In reality, this will probably decrease over time. And then the increase in price of electricity per year from the grid, and that's a user input, let's say 3%. Now, very important, the percentage of solar consumed by the load and what actually goes to the grid. Now we need to look at the price of electricity in the first year. Now that's a user input. Now we have to look at the price of electricity exported. Now this will obviously in reality go down to zero very soon in Australia, probably in the next 5 or 6 years, but I fixed it at $0.6 per kilowatt hour that goes out to the grid. Next, we look at the percentage increase in electricity price per year. Now, I fixed it at 3%. So it's going to be, the price of electricity is going to be increasing every year, 3%. Now, percentage of solar consumed by the load, I've said it's 50%, and obviously by default, 50% goes to the grid. Now looking at 25-year output of the particular panel selected, we know the price of electricity from the grid increases by 3%, and this is a user selected. The price of electricity exported stays the same, and in reality will go down. The output of the panels decreases every year. So we need to set up a table. So effectively we know that the amount of energy produced in the first year, but we really have to look at the degradation, and I've been conservative and actually taken off that degradation. So effectively amount produced, and we use quite a fairly complicated formula. D12 times 1 minus XLOOKUP, which looks at what's in D4, and then looks across at the range J11 to J51 and returns a value from S11 to S51. So let's have a look. So D12, D4, J11, so it looks in here and then returns a figure from here. Now we're looking at a 25-year output of the particular panel selected. So we select a year and the data validation drop-down list comes into play. State what the output is in the year selected, and it states what the actual cumulative savings are in dollar terms, and the actual savings in the year selected as well. In this slide, you can see the actual formulas used. Now let's look at some cumulative savings. We're looking at a 25-year output of the particular panel selected. Let's select a year. So there's a data validation drop list. Select a year. Let's go to year 10. And the output in year 10 was 502,705. So 500,000 kilowatt hours. That was the output in the end. You can see that's decreased from year 1 because of the panel degradation. Now the cumulative output in year 10 in kilowatt hours was this figure. And this was devised again from an XLOOKUP that looks at what's going on in D18 and again referencing I51 and I75 and then returning a figure from K51 to K75 and returning from K51 to K75. I've outlined all the formulas I've used in my spreadsheet over the next 4 slides. Hopefully this presentation will help you put together your next proposal if you have a range of panels to choose from. Thanks for watching our presentation on panel degradation, a spreadsheet approach. If you have any questions, any inquiries or any answers or any way I can improve the spreadsheet, feel free to drop us a line and please subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. See you next time.